This video is brought to you with thanks from NoGuff88. Toski, Bearer of Secrets versus Anafenza the Foremost. And we start off with a 0 lander. Very little lands in this deck, but it's only because we've got the mana dorks like this, so we'll try this one. Hope our opponent doesn't have any removal for us. I'll put the Avenger of Zendikar back. If we had 2 lands, I'd go for the Jiraga Tree Speaker, but we don't, so let's go for Elvish Mystic. I can play the Jiraga Tree Speaker next turn. If we get into a land, still level it up. No removal from our opponent, thankfully, so we'll just have to slow roll out the Jiraga Tree Speaker, I think. And then we'll put our opponent on the infamous 30-turn clock. Just an Orzhov Basilica from our opponent, so they're getting off to just as slow a start as we are. Alright, and that's some extra mana in the Arcane Signet, so we will level up the Jiraga Tree Speaker. And then we can play out the Arcane Signet, I think. And then all of a sudden next turn we've got 3, 4 and 5 mana available to us. And that is a Winding Constrictor from our opponent, and that comes in with a Herald of Anafenza. And finally making another land by turn 4. So just in case our opponent wipes the board for whatever reason, we'll go for the Wood Elves here, and we can get another forest into play. Crack the Windswept Teeth for a land as well, and maybe it's just Toski here. And then maybe we go for the Sword played and equipped onto that. So with Summoning Sickness on our 2 creatures, we will pass at that. Temple of Plenty this time from our opponent, a Scry land. And then a little bit of ramp in Celestia Key Rune. So 4 cards left in hand, not seeing anything with counters on it so far. Okay, Champion of Lambhull is good. If we can land some damage here, which I'm not too sure we can. Might be able to encourage them to block with the Herald of Anafenza though. So we'll play the Sword of Feast and Famine. Put that onto the Wood Elves. And our opponent decides to scoop to that. Okay, plan was there to go for the Joriel, but clearly they didn't want to throw away the Herald of Anafenza to the sword, so yeah, we'll play another one. We're the only 2 players in the room at the moment, so playing against the same user, but that is Atraxa Praetor's Voice this time. And we've got much better mana here, so we will keep. Having a tough time finding players to play against in the 1v1 room, so I've come over to the multiplayer room where some people play 1v1 with the multiplayer ban list. Seems to be more popular than 1v1 nowadays for whatever reason. We will keep that. We can get a turn 1 Toski into play if we want to. So why don't we throw down the forest along with the Jeweled Lotus and do just that. And then it's fingers crossed that there's no exile from our opponent. They are in the exile colours. Shocking down a Sacred Foundry suggests that they do have exile. But instead it is Mother of Runes. Okay, Gaia's Cradle is really good as well. Not sure if they're going to be wiping the board. I wonder if also they're going to block here. We could encourage them to block by getting down the Joriel, because that is going to give us a wolf token. Or is it a cat token? Yeah, a cat token with this when we connect with the Toski. So we have to attack there. Highly doubt that they want to block with Mother of Runes, so they'll probably just give us the card draw as well as the cat token, so we'll be able to go wide more easily. And then we do have haste from the Ginger Brute next turn, so we've got off to about as fast a start as we could ever hope for. Haven't even had chance to cast any ramp yet. Anyway, they get down a tap land. We draw into Sky Skiff. So we'll play the Gaia's Cradle here. Let's play the Ginger Brute. And then we can still go Nature's Law because the Gaia's Cradle gives us 4 mana. So we'll try and keep ourselves in mana for after the board is wiped, assuming that it will be. And then with that mana we'll go for the Scrib Ranger, and we can decide whether or not we want to go for Sky Skiff or Thought Vessel next turn. Probably the Sky Skiff to get Summoning Sickness away from that. So hopefully we refill our hand here, but they've got that Path to Exile. Should be able to get out Toski again easily enough. I mean, Path to Exile gets us another land, so that pays for half the commander tax. It will cost us 6 to get Toski out because we got him out so quickly. So we've got 4 mana from the Cradle. and then 6, so yeah, I think we can go for the Sky Skiff. Let's get some attacks in first. Deal a little bit of damage to our opponent, and then we'll go for the vehicle. So even if our opponent wipes the board, we might... Well, that'll actually switch off our Gaia's Cradle, but we'll be able to tap down Toski as soon as it comes down for the Sky Skiff, is my point. Our opponent just playing a land and passing, so hopefully they don't have more spot removal for us, but we'll try and get down the Toski again. So Toski entering the fray, we will do the crew thing, because Toski can't swing in this turn due to a lack of haste. And then once again we are swinging in. They can block and give the Mother of Runes protection from a green creature if they want to. That will give us a chance to respond and go for Beast Within or something, but obviously we don't have that in hand, not that our opponent knows that. Do manage to connect, so we'll draw 5 cards with the Toski. And that will get us into another cat token, so that we'll be able to continue to go wide, hopefully. Okay, so looking pretty good here. How's about we just go for the Thought Vessel? I think is going to be the best use of our mana. No, Emerald Medallion is probably better. Vamp Tutor in response, so that's likely a board wipe, I would think. Toxic Deluge, I would assume they would go for. That'd be pretty rough for us, actually, because it means Toski's going to cost 8. Or 7 with the Emerald Medallion in play, I suppose. Okay, well, not sure what they tutored for. Maybe it was just a land. They were desperate to get Kaalia into play. Or maybe they've gone for a demon. Ah, there we go, it was a board wipe after all. That is Balefire Dragon that they're cheating into play. Toski is indestructible, but we're not going to have as many creatures to swing in with. So how's about we go for one of these dorks and start putting counters on the Beastmaster Ascension. So we'll go for Spire Tracer. Can tap that down straight away for Sky Skiff. And then it can be 3 mana from the Gaia's Cradle into Sky Shroud Claim. And that brings the lands in untapped, so we've got 5 mana available to us here. So why not a Thought Vessel? We're going to lose whatever creatures we play anyway, because of the Balefire Dragon. So we might as well start ticking up the Beastmaster Ascension. Yeah, the fact that our opponent has 40 life as opposed to 30 life at a starting life total might actually be relevant. Also, we play with a different band list when we're in this room, thanks to it being a multiplayer ban list, so that might be relevant. Anyway, getting a couple of counters on the Beastmaster Ascension, it needs 7 in total. Deciding to allow the Toski through, so they want to keep protection with the Mother of Runes. Yeah, like I said, we could really do with haste here, because we're getting into the creatures, but that's probably one of the best spells that they could have played against us. We'll be able to keep going in with the Sky Skiff at least. This actually has to deal combat damage as opposed to turning sideways, doesn't it? So I suppose what we could have done was played out the Scrib Sprites to chump block it and got out Llanowar Elves as well. Oh, it was Utter End. So yeah, we'll put it back into the command zone. Pretty rough matchup for us because we are against the Exile colours. And they are going to take us down by a creature again here. This time getting themselves into Archangel of Thuum, which will buff all their army because it has lifelink. So knocking us down to 21, feels like we should be much lower than that. Prismatic Vista, how much does our commander cost? That is 7 mana now. So we'll play the Toski again. And then that can crew up the Sky Skiff. Don't fancy our odds in this one, unfortunately. And then we'll play out the Scrib Sprites to throw that away to the Balefire Dragon. So then it can be Manglehorn. We're not going to blow up an artifact because there isn't one to blow up. And then Silhana Ledgewalker as well. So can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. Let's turn this vehicle in sideways. Putting another counter on the Beastmaster Ascension. 1 card in our opponent's hand. They could give the dragon protection from green. Oh, and of course we draw into Beast Within there, so maybe could have held on to those creatures and waited to see what we were going to draw into, because Beast Within might actually be relevant. Hopefully they just turn in sideways here. Yes, doesn't look like they're giving protection from green. That's really good. They'll still have a chance in response to the trigger here. Hopefully they don't see it. Oh, and they do have a they do have a angel, nearly said demon. So yeah, destroying our flyer, getting that out of the way. Could have held up the sky skiff, but yeah, I think our opponent's got us here, knocking us down to 1, blowing up our entire board. Yeah, I don't see what we can get here, to be honest. Yeah, Arcane Signet isn't going to do anything. So we'll play out the Bellowing Tangleworm to make sure that the Toski can get through. That can crew the Sky Skiff. And turning sideways, yeah, the Balefire Dragon has just been way too good here, I think. Even if we'd thrown out a flyer all those turns ago to chump block it, they could have just given it protection from green and got it through anyway. So we'll say good game to our opponent, and we'll concede there. Let's get another one in. Alright, that might be a bad matchup for us, up against Tergrid, God of Fright this time. We do have fast mana again. Just played against another player, but they got mana screwed, unfortunately, so it's not too many fast mana games in a row, like it might seem. Every game I played today, I think it's 3 or 4 so far, and Joriel has showed up in all of them though. So it's the Sol Ring into the Emerald Medallion, and we'll be able to play out Toski next turn. Pass at that. Not sure if we want to go for Worldly Tutor during our turn. Maybe for the Aurum Frostfang. Might be that they've got an Edict effect for the Toski, so yeah, Lightning Greaves for a setup might be good. So let's go Joriel. We'll go for the Lightning Greaves. Throw that onto the Joriel. Might as well poke our opponent for 1. If they've got an Edict effect, they might want to use it on the Joriel. And we've got Worldly Tutor next turn. Maybe Tendershoot Dryads would be good, so that we can get past all the Edict effects that our opponent potentially has. Yeah, well, obviously decided to leave it for now. Let's just throw out the Toski. We'll be a bit more aggressive here, I think. Can talk myself out of making certain plays. So Ginger Brute coming into play. That does have haste, as does Toski now that it's got a Lightning Greaves on it. We're going to get into a cat token, swing in with everything, and we'll draw 3. Hopefully make a land for the turn. Yeah, there we go. So a cat, and drawing into a land. Gaia's Cradle is very nice. Don't think our opponent's going to be able to make us discard a Gaia's Cradle, so we'll throw out the Forest, and that can be a nice surprise for them next turn. A Mind Slicer without a means of sacrificing it, thankfully. I don't know if we have a fight card we can go for with the Worldly Tutor. Maybe that's something to add to the deck. So let's drop Worldly Tutor. And Tendershoot Dryad is going to be pretty good here, I think. It's going to force them to need a board wipe. Maybe Avenger of Zendikar we're not quite going to be able to get into play. Or maybe we can get it into play this turn. Go for the Tendershoot Dryad. Yeah, I think we can just about afford the Avenger of Zendikar, so let's go for that. And that only makes us 4 plant tokens, but if we were going to discard our hand next turn anyway, then I don't think it matters. They can get rid of our Ginger Brute here if they want to. We're going to have plenty to swing in with, hopefully. Getting rid of the cat instead. So the cat is instantly replaced, we get more mana. And now we start making Saproling tokens. During every upkeep, they will come down as 3/3, thanks to us having the City's Blessing. Okay, Dread Presence. So, let's see if they've got a swamp to make for the turn. They do. They can shoot something with a shock. That's probably Tendershoot Dryad if they've got the choice, and there it is. We are going to be able to make 2 lands next turn, thanks to the 3 visits. 3 visits is actually free, thanks to it only costing 1. And there we go, drawing into lands again. So let's make these plants more scary. Playing out both the lands turns those plants into 2/3, and then we'll see what we draw into for the turn. Swinging with everything except Joriel. We'll make the Ginger Brute unblockable, I think, because none of their creatures have haste, so they won't be able to block there. See if we can get them to chump block. They're trying to keep their creatures, Mind Slicer has everyone discard because it's going to die to the Avenger of Zendikar. So because it's our turn, yeah, maybe they didn't realise that it works like that. Because it's our turn, our triggers go on the stack first, which means they resolve last. Then Mind Slicer goes on the stack last but resolves first. So we'll discard the forests that are in our hand, but then we'll draw 7 cards there. Magic Online is being goofy as usual, so we can't see the 7 cards that we were going to draw, unfortunately, but yeah, I think it's fairly safe to say that we would have been at an advantage over our opponent with no cards in hand there. So that was a quick revisit to Toski. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and share it with your friends if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.